Hey everyone, Boardgame Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I have a prototype copy of Regency. It's a hand management tableau building card game about civilization and power by Pique Games. In Regency, you play as infamous rulers seeking influence over all the world to gain the greatest fiefdom. But watch out, as other rulers will be looking to attract your citizens away from you, swinging more power towards themselves. To become the supreme regent, players will need to enlist a special group of citizens that include nobles, religious, military, merchants, commoners, and brigands. The first player who gains citizens filling up these 6 specialized groups wins and will be declared the supreme regent. The game is set up and should look something like this. Each player will have a different regent mat or player board to begin the game. Each of these player boards have the regent's name and the background of that ruler. There are 6 different icons called casts shown around the player board, 3 on top and 3 on the bottom. These are the spaces that you need to fill to win the game, each with a card matching the icon shown on that part of the board. You also may have noticed, but each regent has one of these icons shown in its middle section. This is that regent's prowess that corresponds to one of the 6 casts. During the game, players can only play event cards that matches the caste of their citizens. This ability enables the regent to play caste-specific event cards of their matching caste, regardless of whether they have a citizen of that caste in their fiefdom. But to win the game, the player will still need to recruit citizens representing all 6 castes. So now that you have your regent with its special bonus, you will be trying to gain more citizens. This is the populace here, where all citizens start at. The deck of 42 cards are shuffled, and 6 cards are placed out, making a 3x2 grid. Only the bottom 3 cards can be recruited, with the top cards being shown to prepare players as who might be available next turn. When a citizen card is recruited or removed for any reason, the cards all shift clockwise so that the older cards get moved into the bottom slots. A new card will always be flipped over and placed in this position here. To recruit a citizen, you will need to discard a number of event cards from your hand representing influence over the populace shown. The card in this position here needs 5 influence to be recruited, this card needs 6, and this last one needs 7. Again, only the bottom 3 cards can be attracted in this manner. The top 3 citizen cards can be attracted, but by using specific event cards to do so. During the game, there is no limit to the number of citizens that can be attracted from the populace in a single turn. When choosing citizens to join your regent, you should know that there are 2 types. There's common and privileged. Common citizens will list only 1 caste on the top of its card, making them less flexible. Privileged citizens have more than 1 symbol or color on the top and can be assigned to any caste that corresponds to the one of the available options displayed on the top of that card. Regardless of all the options that a privileged citizen has, the citizen can only be assigned to 1 caste on your board. Once a citizen is assigned to a caste, it won't be able to move to another unless an event card specifies that it can. If another regent uses an event card to attract a citizen from another regent, that citizen can be reassigned to any caste shown on the top of its card regardless of previous assignment. Now let's talk about the event cards. There are 96 cards total, and each player will start with 4. Players will be able to play any of the 4 on their turn for its event or for its influence to attract citizens. At the end of the player's turn, they can discard any number of cards and draw back up to their hand limit of 4. The events shown on the cards can be an action or a reaction. Let me explain the difference. Actions can only be performed by the active player on their turn, and they are only limited to the number of actions that they can perform by the number of cards in their hand. Some events are caste-specific events, which means that you can't play these certain cards unless you control a citizen that is that member of the caste indicated on that card, or if your prowess, your special ability for your ruler, matches that caste. To know what caste you need to have to use that event, you will look at the top left of the card and see what icon is showing. If the icon is a lion, then that card is not caste specific, and it can be played by any player at any time. Reactions are a little bit different as they can be played at any time providing the conditions stated on the card are fully met. The card will always give you a specific condition required to play that reaction. For example, it might say when a regent performs an action, or when a regent attracts a citizen. Anytime a reaction alters or prevents the outcome of an action, it will resolve before the action is performed. Otherwise, it will be resolved after the action to which they are corresponding with. Again, if a player doesn't use the event cards for their listed action or reaction, players can discard them, adding up the value shown on the bottom left, representing influence to attract citizens from the populace. All event cards can be used for their influence regardless of their cast conditions. Players take turns in a clockwise direction where the active player can play any number of event cards from their hand to either perform events or influence citizens. At the end of a turn, the active player can discard any number of their event cards and then draw up to a hand limit of 4. The first player to assemble a complete fiefdom containing all 6 casts wins the game and is declared the Supreme Regent. What the game offers board gamers is a small box game of cards that doesn't take up too much shelf space. With a thematic Civ-type theme, you play as a ruler and are fighting to fill up your kingdom with a variety of citizens, and in doing so, there is a take that element where you will be attacking other players and defending what's yours. These attacks range from canceling action cards to stealing specific citizens that they have that you want. Now, the take that element isn't just a free straight up action, it's a little more complex than that, as you can only use certain cards if you have a citizen in your own fiefdom that matches that action card. Not all action cards match a specific cast, but many of them do. Players will then make decisions on using these cards from those abilities listed on the bottom versus saving them to use them to purchase new citizens. The game is all about attacking whoever's the closest to pulling off the win by having all 6 citizens in their fiefdom of the 6 different castes. So naturally, you will attack the most powerful kingdom to keep the game going, turning the tables in hope that you can line up your cards perfectly to win the game. I say perfectly, but you never really know what the perfect card is until you actually already played it. And it works without someone else using a reaction stopping you in your tracks. I enjoy the balance of gaining citizens versus using your cards as actions to further your own agenda, while perhaps hindering all the others. If you were to focus all your turns using your cards to only buy citizens, then other players can use one of their cards to steal them from you, while you invested your entire hand of 3 cards to get it. And likewise, you can use the actions all the time to change the circumstances, but if you're not adding citizens to your fiefdom, then are you even progressing at all? You will need to find a balance, or rather you will need to find the most efficient way to use your cards to further your fiefdom towards victory. In the game, you'll be able to choose from 18 different mats or player boards, but I feel like the additions are not really necessary in the game. What you're really choosing is what cast that you want as your prowess. What cast do you want to start the game off so that you can play those action cards right off the bat? I feel like 6 boards that are double-sided, 1 board for each cast, then the choice of 2 different leaders would be good enough. Or if each leader had an additional bonus besides the prowess, then I could see why there might be additional player boards. The addition of different citizen cards also helps add some competition on certain cards that everybody wants. And the privileged citizens are always very desirable to many players. So gather your friends and your family to face off in a race to 6 citizens, each with a specific cast to help run your fiefdom and conquer the world in Regency by Pique Games. Again, this is Boardgame Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.